Hey guys, this is Shannon from Bitcoin Bankers, and today we're going to have a look at some charts. It's been a week since I've been away. Haven't been able to do some videos. It's just been busy doing some other things. Wanted to just touch base with everybody. Only got a few subscribers at the moment, so let's see that grow, share it, share with other people. We look at cryptocurrencies and we look at FUD, and we also look at scams and things like that that's going on the internet and social media and that kind of thing. We look at Bitcoin. I like to focus a lot on Bitcoin. And last week I sort of finished off saying let's have a look over the weekend. Let's see how things go with Bitcoin. You can have a look at my other videos on how I called those. I said it would probably come down and settle ultimately around between 34 and 36. And then you'd probably see a move. Well, it did come down and do that. It did move up to about 4,000 mark. We're talking US dollars. And now it's kind of start to move back down again. And there's been a few people, and so I'm bringing these ideas up here. I'm going to talk about these very shortly. Number one, a couple of issues. If you're in the US and you're a new subscriber here and you're having trouble understanding my language as an Australian, I apologise. Please send me a message or say slow down, talk a bit slower, or talk a bit clearer. That's fine. I won't be offended. Number two, I'd like to just go over a couple of quick issues about the FUD that's going on in the market. Bitcoin, essentially, the crypto market has entered into a bit of a bearish phase, especially recently, since there's been a lot of talk from China about closing down markets, which they have done one or two. Also, putting the press on tokens and ICO coins and things like that. The other one that kind of moved people and gave them a bit of a scare, mainly not so much people who understand Bitcoin and that, but just general people who are new to it. There was Jamie Dimon, who runs JP Morgan Bank, one of the biggest criminal banks in the world, and run by one of the biggest criminals in the world, white-collar criminals. Jamie Dimon comes out and says Bitcoin's a fraud and puts it down. 2 days later, JP Morgan is found was one of the fourth biggest purchases of Bitcoin in the Euro markets. You can have a look around, you'll see this story. It's pretty recent. So total fraud, trying to just push down the price so they can buy in at a better price. And now that these guys are in the market, I think there's a lot of caution. I think a lot of people are a little bit concerned because once people like JP Morgan get in, they start manipulating things and like to buy and pump and sell. And the other thing too is that you've got to remember JP Morgan and Microsoft and a few other companies have a very large interest in Ethereum. So their interest is to mess around with Bitcoin and maybe try and pump Ethereum. But this is what they do. They hedge both ends, and they hedge one against the other and kind of play it off. And we're all stuck in the middle with our assets, and they don't care, So you've got to watch out for that. And that's what's going on there. So this has caused, I think, a bearish market. And I don't think these stories have really impacted Bitcoin essentially anyway, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly to our charts. I'll try and make this video within 15 minutes length. That's Litecoin. We'll come back to Litecoin. BTC. Okay, now my position, I'll state my position right now at the moment, is that basically because I prefer to buy and trade and things, I only play with a little bit. And that's what Bitcoin Bankers is all about, building your own bank, starting with nothing, or the smallest amounts that you can, find what's in the shed, go sell some stuff off, sell off some old stuff that you don't like, get 50, $100 and just buy a little bit, okay? And start with that, and let's work to build it up. I know it doesn't sound like much, but ideally, if you can get up to around $500, start with that, then you've got something a little bit better to play with. Do not use credit cards. Do not get loans. Excuse me. Reason being is because you're playing with debt, okay? You're buying an asset with debt, and that means you have to pay that debt back at interest, so you're not making any money. So don't use credit cards to buy assets, especially cryptocurrencies, because they are volatile. They go up and down. And there was an idiot that came out the other day. I did a video on it. He's telling everyone to get ready to buy into cryptos when it was up here. Okay. And or it might have been when it was maybe it was down here at this point somewhere. Anyway, he came in and did a video saying, get ready to max out your credit card. Well, complete idiot, because, you know, I mean, this has gone up a little bit and now it's on a downtrend. Okay, this is what we're seeing here. Bitcoin is on a downtrend. It had a little bit of a sell-off, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, Bitcoin Bankers is about starting small and just starting to work up a little bit of asset, okay, and start to turn it into something good. And we're coming into a position very soon where you'll be in a really good position to buy some Bitcoin, okay. There's other cryptocurrencies out there as well, and we'll discuss those in another one. I'll do a video on ICOs and tokens as well. I'm trying to put all that together while managing some other stuff. So anyway, let's have a quick look at Bitcoin, okay? There's a lot of FUD in the market, 2 issues I spoke about the other day, but the reason that they didn't really have a big impact is because if you have a look, before those stories even came out, and before, while everything was booming and working up hard, this is on the 1 day, you'll notice that Bitcoin had pretty much reached its peak, 70, could have gone a little bit higher, could have gone up to the 80 and 90s, but pretty much reached its peak in volume, like in buying volume. So it had been overbought. The asset had been overbought, and when things get to that point, there needs to be a release of pressure, okay, in the asset itself, and it needs to relieve that pressure because it can't keep going up like this. These are massive moves, okay? And that's just come as a result of a lot of the interest. So that was around July. A lot of the interest in the coin, as well as a whole lot of other things going on, okay? A lot of people trading, a lot of people buying, a lot of people making more moves into the coin. Now, when you see a sell-off, everyone freaks out, they get scared, they run away, and all this sort of thing. Well, the only reason I sold mine was because it got to about 38, 39 the other day, and I wanted it to get to 42. That was a kind of a price where I bought some more recently, and I knew I wasn't really going to see that come back, so I thought, well, and I saw it really moving down strongly, so I thought, well, I'll take my Bitcoin, I'll take my Litecoin, and I'll just sell it and hold off for a little while until I see where this is going to land. Okay, because for me, if you're a long-term trader, just keep it there. Don't worry too much. It's not going to go to zero. This is ridiculous. Anyone who's saying Bitcoin's in a bubble and it's lost, and Bitcoin is only just getting started. Okay, this thing will grow and grow and grow. It's got years to grow. It's completely independent, and it will grow. Okay, it will turn a profit, especially if you're buying the lows, and it will just keep gaining momentum, man. This thing is massive. So anyway, we're in a down period, and people get scared in a down period. And at the moment, there's a lot of FUD because, you know, you see companies like JP Morgan getting involved in Bitcoin, and these guys manipulate. So with China and with big buy-ins and things like that, and with a lot of people's fear, and then you get a lot of the inexperienced people who can't read charts and don't do anything and just listen to the average moron next to them who spouts some load of garbage based on nothing. It sets a panic. It sets fear, you know, and so people start pulling it. It's like, oh, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin, but what should I do? It's like, well, if you're in for the long haul, don't sell it. Just hold on to it. Because there could be a time where it's going to be too hard to buy. You might not buy it. It might be, who knows? We don't know. So if you're in the long haul, hold on to it. Always hold on to it. The only reason I said, like I said, is that I sold because I want to see it come down a little bit, ease some pressure, and I want to hold on to the small. I only have a small amount, and I want to hold on to that. I don't want to see that sort of keep decreasing in value. So I'm holding on to it. Wait till it gets to a better point, and then I'll say, okay, it's time to buy some more. Okay, so essentially, here we are. So we have some lines of resistance. We're on the 1 day, so this is a long-term look. Okay, so we take it from the highest peak of the beginning of the sell, and just draw down. Okay, and then I put in a line of resistance around this area here. You could put one in up around here too, but that's where it's sitting at. We already know it's sitting there. So the next one down would probably be around this region. Okay, so that's 31 to 32, 3100, 3200. Okay, if it breaks through these, which I think it will, and it keeps heading down over the next 2 weeks, which, you know, kind of should. you're going to see the RSI down here as well kind of start moving downward. And then we'll get down to around this region here. Okay, this is kind of a region that it could go to. That's 26, 25. A number of people said a little while ago it could go down to 21. At the time, I said no when we were down here. I said because it's going to it's got to hit here first. It's got to work its way down like it works its way up. That's just what these things do. Any asset does it, really. But cryptos are something new, something unique, generally speaking. The stock market has been around since 1800s, early 1900s, something like that, and I guess, and yeah, they've been around 100 years. Cryptocurrencies have been around for 7 years, so 8 years, so they're very, very new in the birth stages, and we're just getting a feel for where they're going. So I've put in some support levels here. This is the lowest support level. If it goes down to there, I'd be extremely surprised, but I'd be extremely fortunate because if you can buy in there, man, you're doing well. But I'm thinking myself, it'll probably sort of settle in around here. Worst case scenario, look, it could go down further. We don't know. But at the moment, the way things are going over time, I mean, this region, so by mid-October, if it's still going down in that stage, it could be going back up. Even November, latest, I think we get up into November. That's where you're likely to see it right down this point. But yeah, that's some big calls, and I'm not making those big calls. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying this is where a long-term look, over the next 8 weeks is what we could be looking at. So I also put in a rise. Okay, and say, okay, well, if it does start moving up, that's a pretty steep rise. It's got to move, let's go to the 30-minute. So she's chugging along. There's our rise line. So if it's going to start moving upward, it's going to have to sort of move in that region. And once we get to this crossover point, well, yeah, and it breaks through that downward trend, then it'll start going up. And that's around the 38 again. But let's have a look. That's by the 25th. So the next 3 days, it's going to want to start growing and earning, but I don't think that's going to happen. Let's go to the 1 day again. Okay, so that's a really steep upward movement that it would have to make. And it can do that. Bitcoin can do it. But at the moment, it just doesn't have the steam. Okay? With all the fear, uncertainty, doubt, you have people who are not willing to buy in. They're sitting back. They're waiting to see where it goes. The trades are slowing down. The volume of the coin is slowing down, but it's got a lot further to go yet. Could come down. If you have a look where these are, I mean, that's 27. We're at 42. So, another 20 points before it could move down the day, and that that could sort of scoop down to about here. Yeah. So again, let's have a look, see what happens over the weekend. Come back on Monday and see what happens with Bitcoin. But I see it on a downward trend. It's further out. It's got to make some moves before it can really sort of break through. And this period here is going to be a bit of a decider. So by the 25th, if it really isn't sort of reached this point up here and turning around, then it's only, it could get there and then just start moving down again. It could be on this side of the line that it starts moving down, and then once we get to this point, it could start moving up. Just going to have to wait and see. But for now, I think it's going to stay under the line. It's going to follow that trend, and that's where we're headed. And you can see this, actually. I'll show you. Let's go to Ethereum just quickly, because I don't want to be too long here. Everyone's got everything to do, so there we are. You can see that's happening with Ethereum as well. It's already happened. It's on the day. It's following it down. It's staying under this line. There was my rise line. I thought, well, if it's going to shoot up, that's where it's going to follow. But it didn't. And it's heading down. Ethereum, though, I think, generally speaking, is pretty much sitting around its true value at the moment. Whereas, it's kind of true value. It's sort of, well, here's the lowest. If we go from, say, 189, I think that's a bit under, up to, say, here. So if we look in this region here, this whole area, so 280, 316 to about 196. That's kind of where it's been sort of staying for a fair while since here, 104 to $17. Yeah, it's a big range, but we're looking longer term. But for now, again, Ethereum on a downtrend. It's bearish. Why? Because everyone's just not sure where this market's going at the moment. The FUD, people trying to protect their money. Everyone knows there's a big boost coming. We just don't know if there's going to be one more correction. And talk of the town, which I'll come back to, is there's going to be a bit more of a correction yet. So, and that could, once that correction comes, it's going to be really good because it's letting off all that kind of bullshit that pumped it all up. It's letting off its value, and then it'll go for another big run, and it'll pass the previous. But that's what they have to do. They have to pass these marks. This is Litecoin again. Let's have a look here. Oh, no, it went the wrong way. Here we go. Litecoin. Look at that. This is a Litecoin trend. That's why I got rid of my Litecoin at the moment. I'm not saying buy or sell. I'm just saying for me, I like to hold on to the little value that I have until a better position comes along, and then I go for it. But this is what it's been doing. Look at those lines. It broke through all those support lines. Okay, took a big dip. I put a rise on it to see if it was going to go. It was moving within that region, but it couldn't make it to that point. Okay, why? Because there just wasn't the volume. Again, there wasn't the volume. Yeah, so that's around 51. Really hard to kind of tell. There was a couple of peaks and things, but generally the volume wasn't there to sustain the long-term sort of uprising, the buy up. Okay, it wasn't there. Everything was headed downwards. Don't trust. Let's go to the 5-minute here. When you see moves up and down like this, if you're a minute trader, which is crazy, options, things like that. But if you're a day trader and you're watching these kind of trends, I wouldn't rely on them too much. I'd probably rely on something more like 15, 30-minute trends or something like that. But because these just go up and down and up and down and up and down. That's what they are. They're just very short periods of trading time. Okay, now you can buy and sell, but you get the fees that you're paying there is crazy. So go back to our because you've got to pay fees when you work on an exchange. You buy, sell, buy, sell. You actually do yourself more harm unless they're big moves. Maybe some of the other trade. I don't know what they do, but if they're actually working the market, maybe they're avoiding a lot of those costs. I don't know. Anyway, that should be up there. So you can see that this downward trend has really come in. I put an uprise there in case there was a turnaround. It didn't happen, but look where it happened. Let's spread this out. Look at that, right on that crossover mark. That's why I put these crossovers in. So you can see that, if it doesn't break through, it's on its way down. Okay, it'll keep going down, and that's what it's doing. So on the day, Litecoin 38, it's sitting at 38 around here. Could go right down to 27, something like that. And the price could essentially, do we talk about Litecoin price? I know. It's gone too far now, hasn't it? Bloody thing, because I'm on the day, that's why. Let's go to the half hour. Yeah, so you can see that it's past there, and now it's just kept following that trend down. 47. Here's a bit of support here. Let's go in. Could go down there. 33. Go back to the day. I shouldn't have gone to that. So when you can see these support areas, it's here at the moment, 45. What's the next support line? 42. What's the next one down? Probably 38. What's the average next one down? 34, maybe let's say 27. Okay. What's the next one down? 15. Well, won't go down there. But I'm saying 37. It could go down to, 37 to 33. Let's see how that goes over the next, let's see, that's the 26th. Let's see how this goes over the next few days. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Actually, I'll quickly go to these stories and show you this. If you're on Trader View, you can go into the top authors here. You can also go to ideas and go to cryptocurrency. Okay, and you got stories and things there. What's this? No, I don't want to. So I'll tell you a bit about the market. Then there's people's stories you can read. Blinded by emotions are wise to the charts. There's a good story. There's Litecoin, how to trade, Bitcoin, cash, how to trade. So these are all the general ones. If you go back to the authors, click on some of these guys, you'll see some stories, or you can type the story in here. Let's try this one, bullish trap. I'll just try this one. This is what we got to watch out for. Oh, is this a... That must be a market search. Yeah, it's probably a market search. Let's try bull trap. Nah, that's just a thing. Don't worry about that. But if you go on these stories, you can have a look at what these opinions are. Some of them are okay, some of them not. Here's gold bug stuff. And they're just talking about the possible corrections that they're having. And have a look at some of those stories. Are they worth looking at? Another story you can look at, site you can look at if you want a bit of information, is Crypto King. Crypto King News. Okay, so Crypto King News. This is not a bad site. It's basically kind of like Drudge Report. They just put up, here you go. They put up stories, recent stories about the coins that are going on at the moment. I think the fact that they're doing this on their own, on their own back is a good thing. Good on them. So you got the Ripple Market Report. It's down. Bitcoin, Ethereum. Then they cover Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, NEM, XEM, and some of the other ones. So anyway, so that's one website you can go to. Crypto Kings News. You can type that one in there. It's got the prices there as well. So anyway, that's it for Bitcoin Bankers today, guys. I hope that's been helpful for you. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm looking at. Let's keep an eye out. Let's see what happens over the next 4 days. It's something to watch. Will it go down? Will it go up? I think it's going to keep going down for a little while. It might have a little rise, like I said, and then we might be heading into another correction. Either maybe by the end of September, early October, or November. Let's have to wait and see. Have to wait and see how it moves. So for now, play it safe, play it small, be wise. Don't listen to the bullshit, but hear what everyone has to say. Just don't listen to anyone. Okay? Make your own decisions, do your own research, and follow up and see how you go from there. Good luck, and I'll probably drop back in either tomorrow or in a few days, and we'll see how we go. So take it easy.